To mark Black History Month, the Ingraham Angle will be introducing you to new voices, individuals who are unafraid to challenge the stereotypes and stale thinking of the modern left. And tonight, we bring you a 21-year-old who went from hard left to conservative activist for PragerU. And rather than shrink when protesters show up at her events with the usual signs and the chants, she confronts them with an invitation and a smile, as she did recently at Winona University.
The event is free. You can have seats in whatever row you like. You can come up and ask me questions as soon as the Q&A starts. Because I think if you're going to protest somebody, it's pretty important that you listen to what they have to say first and see if it's even worth the protest. We have selective outrage in this country, and it's selective outrage towards people who look like me. It's a massive effort to label people who look like me as a victim.
That young woman, Amala joins me now. Amala, it's great to see you tonight. Why did you think people are afraid to hear what you have to say? You didn't have all that many takers in that video after you invited them to come on in, which I thought was so nice. I think you offered them food. Didn't you give them food as well? Or you gave them...
I did.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have been nicer to these people who basically want to shut you up.
Oh, thank you so much. I think they were hiding their protest under the veil of a food drive, which was interesting, considering that all the signs at this protest talked about how hateful I am and how hateful PragerU is and how I had no right to be on their campus. But I think the fear, as it pertains to me, is that I represent a particularly difficult opponent, being a Black female, because the left uses me and my race and my gender to promote myself as a victim and someone who needs to be fought for. And to have me come up to them and say, no, I'm not a victim, and I'd like to discuss that with you, I think was a particularly hard thing for them to deal with.
Now, Amala, in another moment from this encounter with the protesters, you made an interesting observation. Here we go.
There's a massive amount of white students right now out here, and I don't even need to use the race card, but a massive amount of white students out here talking about Black oppression in America to me, as I'm actively talking about it to them. And very few of them want to have civil discourse.
Amala, did you have any informed discussions with the folks out there holding the really tedious signs?
Unfortunately, no. A few of them did end up going into the event after my short discussion with them. And I think a breakthrough moment that we have happened off the camera, where I talked about the fact that I used to be a leftist organizer and I used to be a radical leftist, and I would have been the one who was staging a protest like this and coming to fight people who are coming to my campus. And that sort of broke through the barrier that we had a little bit. But in the end, about 5 out of those 40 protesters came into the event, and only a couple of them asked any questions.
Well, you never know, Amala, you know, how you turn people's thinking around or even open up the dialogue. And I think that's a really great thing you did. You just never know how you're going to affect people. How did you make the transformation from left to right?
Ooh, it was a difficult thing for me. It wasn't until I worked for the left, and I tell anybody who's a radical leftist now that you should test out that ideology by going and working for the radical left, because it will soon crumble. I lasted about a year doing that, and I just realized that there was so much hypocrisy, there was blatant racism towards white people, and there was so little discussion. And when I brought up those concerns to higher ups at the organization, I was turned away, and I was told that I didn't understand how oppressed I am. And that is so emblematic of modern day woke leftism, is trying to convince people that they're victims in order to promote your agenda. And I simply got tired of it and had to leave. And I'm very thankful that I did.
Amala, it's great to see you tonight. And you're a great new voice in this discussion, and we're going to be watching you very closely.